Welcome to the LaRocque Life podcast. We talk about relationships, adventure, freedom, and just some all-around real and raw conversations. I'm Mike LaRocque. I got my lovely wife Laura with me.
Hey guys, how's it going? We're going to make tonight's episode quite quick, and it's kind of more of an inspirational slash like metaphorical episode tonight.
Getting deep.
Yeah. So basically, since we've come out here, we've been hiking. We've been going on mountain trails and discovering a lot of new territory. Which is very new to us, right? Because we're from central Alberta originally and grew up in Saskatchewan. So to actually like live where there's mountains and different kinds of terrain is not that normal for us, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so we've been getting out, doing that a lot more. And just yesterday, we were coming down this steep little slope at kind of getting towards what we thought was the end of our hike, but we weren't really sure, which is kind of part of tonight's
It's kind of like
talk.
floating on the river in Red Deer. Just around the corner, we'll be
We're
home.
almost there. We're almost there. Yeah, I guess that's kind of ties into
Yeah,
this
it's
too.
all
But
part of it.
I said to Mike, like, oh, I need to make a post about this because I had this like really just, I don't even know what I would call it, like an idea, but just like this download of like how much our adventure of hiking through and on around this mountain had correlated, I suppose, with like life. And it could be life, it could be relationships, it could be careers,
Yeah.
all sorts of different things, right? But I just thought that it was like kind of cool. I mean, I'm sure people talk about this stuff. We're not the first people to talk about this, obviously. There's quotes on it and stuff, but I just thought that it'd be a cool thing to bring to the podcast because we're all about relationships, adventure, and freedom. And I feel like that's kind of what all wrapped up in this, right? So,
Definitely got the adventure part going too.
yeah, so we just kind of picked like, I don't know, a handful of things that we recall from our hike yesterday and even over the last like couple weeks. And we are just going to share how that really coincides with life and a journey. But also, all we wanted to do tonight is inspire you, just inspire you to think outside of the box, to really, get out of the box because I feel like we're probably all living in this like very tunnel visioned life right now. I
Yeah.
think we are in general, but even like obviously the last 3-4 months, like
Well,
it's
big
kind of
time. And I
crazy.
notice that even just being in central Alberta, like you
Hmm.
get so tunnel vision with work and everything revolves around kind of like
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah,
And then even coming out to BC with all the people working now, and it's like even a province away, and the priorities are totally different.
yeah.
I had a
Like
lot
a
of
different life.
backlash for a little while of people like, no, 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 you're in fucking interior BC, buddy. We're going fishing at 3. Like,
Yeah,
it's not at all like central Alberta.
yeah, exactly. And even just with like what's going on in the world right now, right? It's so easy to get like so focused on whatever the next thing that the mainstream media is feeding us. So this is just kind of something totally different. Think outside the box,
Yeah,
get your mind floating and inspired tonight. And yeah, that's where we're going to go with this.
big time. And I can see the draw to this now. I always wondered why people go hiking, or like
Mm-hmm.
why people do most of the things they do. But it's awesome once you're actually doing it. You can see why people do it.
Yeah,
Like, it's obviously, we'll talk about it a bit, but it's all the work, but then the payoffs are so
yeah,
big, right? And
yeah,
you can be in your head a little bit, and it just, yeah, it's awesome. It's amazing.
yeah. And you get like a bit of a butt burn and a
Get to see
workout.
some snakes and
Oh
whatever
yeah, we've
else.
seen a snake. Yeah. But yeah, so okay, let's dive into this. I was trying to think of like what I said to Mike because I think when we were going down that slope right out, when I said, "Oh, I have an idea for a post," I like flat out just told you like this whole big long story, right?
Yeah, and I was a perfect husband listening, and
Yeah, and then we're sitting here and I was like, "Okay, well, what were all the things I said?" And Mike was like, "I don't know." And he just told me. And I actually this is a really good relationship thing because he totally just like put all the blame on me and was like, "Well, you should start writing things down when you get
got to
ideas."
make some notes.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, did you want me to whip out a notebook as I was going down the slope of the mountain with a child on my back?" And then you did a really good thing, honey, and you really took ownership of that right away. And you said, "I guess I should be a better husband and start listening better."
Got to be an Instagram husband.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? Got one hand on my fucking phone trying to take pictures. No. It's yeah, 100% though. We get such great ideas and then they're like, "What'd we say?" Oh god, I don't know.
And that actually does tie into the hiking portion of it, right? Like, I didn't have this down on our list, but being in nature, getting outside of your comfort zone, all of those things really connect you to your soul, right? Connect you to your truth. And this is what I work with my clients on a lot is like, intuition and being connected to something bigger than ourselves.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what happens when we're on hikes like that, right? Like we're completely surrounded with nature and we get these ideas and these downloads, but it's kind of hard to just like stop and write it down.
Yeah, totally.
But I also feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's like integrated into my body. So I may as
Yeah,
well just jam on it and it'll all come out. It
and
doesn't
you
have to be in
gotta
that perfect story, like I said.
no, and you gotta find that line too, right? Like you can't we know I noticed it a lot traveling, right? Through Europe and everything we did. You gotta live in the moment, man.
Yeah.
Because everybody like fuck. You go see Eiffel Tower or you go see whatever, Tower Bridge and all these things. And we were talking about it today a little bit where it's just you're always on to the next thing. Or everybody has their phone in their hand or camera in their hand, they're all taking pictures and they're trying to do these things and show off or make or trying to create these memories or so you can take a picture to keep that snapshot in your but just like fuck, put your camera away and just
Yeah.
enjoy
Like
that moment.
soak it in. Yeah.
Do the old gym special in the office and just take a mental picture and just like, yep, click.
It's such a fine line though, because, I do love looking back at our pictures when we traveled everywhere in Europe and it does spark so much memories. So I guess it's like there is a balance
It
between like
is.
really being there and being present and soaking it in versus, still having the photos to be able to look back. And I think that's, motherhood and I mean parenthood in general, right? And your
Right.
relationship, everything, right? You want to just take pictures of your kids all the time, but it's like be in the moments. But still at the other same time, I look at pictures or videos of Lennox, especially like even 6 months ago to like 2 years ago, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is amazing. So yeah, I don't know. I guess there's just like
That
that
is, now
balance,
that you say
right?
that, yeah, it's like you take a
Yeah.
video of their first steps and it's like, well, fuck, did we watch this or did we just
Yeah, that's
watch
true.
it through a lens? I don't know. It's tough.
I guess maybe I just had this idea like in those moments, like first time things, like, is it that important that it's caught on video? I think it is more important that for me, anyways, to capture that moment in real life, like
Hmm.
be with it. And like, let's use the first steps as an example and watch him take his first steps. And then maybe, pull out my phone like 10, 20 minutes later and then take a caption of it.
Right.
Because I mean, in 5 months or 5 years or 10 years looking back on it, I'm not going to know whether it was the
It's all the same
first
time.
or
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's all still the first, the feeling,
Yeah.
but yet you got to be present and just look at it. So maybe I guess that's what we kind of take into everything we do, right? Like when we go traveling, like be there, soak it in, and then take a picture or a video after to look back on.
Yeah.
I
No, it
don't know.
just blows my mind, right? Like so many people at concerts and things. I
Mhm.
don't know. No one's been to a concert in however
Yeah.
long, but
Just
yeah,
recording
they
it all.
record the
Yeah.
whole thing and you're like, well, fuck, are you going to sit there and watch that again?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I'm kind of going off on a tangent. This has nothing to do with
Yeah.
hiking.
This isn't what this is supposed to be about.
No.
Um, but okay, well, see, this always happens. We're like, what should we talk about tonight? And then we're like, let's go on this topic. We'll make it really quick. And then we talk about 10 different things. So we might have to get better at that.
Yeah.
But I actually left my phone in the truck when we went hiking yesterday
Right.
because I find like, oh, then I want to make stories for Instagram and like share with people. But then I'm like, you know what? There's times and there's places for that. And I want to take you guys on the journey with us and just show you like what we see and what we're up to. But at the same time, I'm just like, no, I need to fuel my soul, right? Like
Hmm.
I need to be present with my family. And it really did hit me because Lennox has been, this is what we were talking about on the hike. Lennox has been saying to me, like, we can come back here another time, like to the park or on that hike or anywhere. He's like, we come back another time. But the thing is that we're still there and we're not done there. So that's what I'm explaining to Mike
Yeah.
that he's obviously learning that from us to not fully embrace and be in the moment and always thinking about what's next because like where else would he learn that from, right? Like he's with us the majority of the
Yeah.
time. But so I started saying to him like, what did he say? We'll come back here another time. And I was like, yeah, but we're here.
Yeah.
Like
We're here
we're
now.
here
Yeah.
now. So let's be here now, right? Isn't
Yeah.
there a song?
Yes.
Be here now.
Probably. Sing it for me. But it is, and yeah, it's tough, right? Like I don't know. I always sound I feel like such a hypocrite half the time when we say something like that, because then I'll sit there and record something or like take a bunch of pictures, or it's just like,
Yeah.
fuck man, just enjoy this.
Yeah.
So it is tricky. But again, like Lennox is learning that, like you just said, and I feel that he is learning that from us because um again, now that you talk about it, I try to be more aware of it, but it is that way. I've kind of always almost felt that way. It's like, okay, great, I'm here now.
What's next?
What's next? And
Yeah.
you're like halfway through it,
Yeah.
which is so fucked.
Yeah.
Like I remember that even like racing horses, which is so fucking mind blowing now that you say that. I don't know why this memory just came, but like, you go through the barrels and then you obviously race around the track. And like, I remember there was like times like halfway around the track, like on a Saturday, because usually we race Saturday, Sundays. Um, yeah, like on the backstretch, and I'm like, okay, fucking tomorrow's barrels, I got to do this, I got to do that. And you're not even like, you're fucking in a race
Mm-hmm.
with fucking horses everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're on the backstretch thinking like, okay, tomorrow better barrel better, or like I got to do this different. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, how about you just live in the fucking moment now and get it across the finish line? Yeah, it's weird, eh? Wonder where that comes from.
Yeah, but I think that is partially a masculine thing because I learned that from my mentors with feminine and masculine. Like masculine is very goal driven and motivated. So like next thing, right?
Right.
The next goal, right? So even though you haven't really completed that goal, you're already focused on the next goal. Where the feminine's more like, let's enjoy the journey. So she'd probably be on that horse, being like, "Oh, it's so pretty out here. The wind's really blowing my hair."
It's fair. Fuck, I just got a rock in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So who knows? But
Okay.
yeah, there's just lots of really interesting things, I suppose, is to think about life because I noticed that with Lennox as well at the park. He'll be like, "Mom, take a picture of me and send it to Dad." And I'm like, I taught you this because I'll be like, "Lennox, let's take a picture and send it to
I do enjoy
Dad."
those pictures. I'll give you that, but
Right? I know. But then at the same time, I'm like, we should just be like enjoying this time together, right? Like,
mhm.
and being here now in this moment. But it's like, let's take a picture for Dad. So, anyways, okay, I digress. Let's come back to this. I mean, it all still is very connected to these points,
Yep.
but let's get to the point. Okay, so I think the first one that I want to start off with was when we were going down the steep hill.
Mhm.
That's when I came up with the idea, and I was like, oh, there's just like so much to talk about and how this relates to relationships and life. And I think it was because I was going down the steep hill and you could tell where everyone had gone, and it was like getting quite worked up and
Yeah, like loose stones and
yeah,
stuff, right?
exactly, loose stones and
gravel,
slippery.
Yeah.
So I was like, and I had Lennox on my back, so it's like I need to move over into the grass where it's a little bit more of a rougher terrain, but there's something I can stick my feet on, right, and kind of go down sideways and slowly.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like made me think about life in general, right? And even relationships. But let's just like make this be like a broad thing, all of this for life. And you can take that into relationships, career, any of the things. But
Right.
sometimes you have to go off the beaten path and make your own way. And that's like, I know that that's total cliche, but especially in like unexpected times or tough times, you just have to do what you have to do to get through it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Just get down that hill, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like get to where you got to go in whatever way you have to get there.
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like that is quite broad, and I can't even think of like a life example in that way. I mean, I think it applies to everything, but for some reason I can't think of a
No, and that's fair. And
specific
like you said,
example.
it does sound cliche because you always talk about that, right? Get off the beaten path and do
Yeah.
different things. But it's so true. And that's so practical of like, well, fuck. The beaten path is so slippery and whatever. It's fucking dangerous, right? Down that beaten path.
The beaten path is dangerous.
I know, and so
of
many people
life,
have gone down it, right? Whereas if you just fucking veered off a little bit, like you're still going to the same place.
Yeah.
You're just finding a different way to get there. And it's, yeah, a lot more stable. It seemed maybe, it's a little scary because you're going off, what's in the grass.
Well, there could be a snake.
There could be a fucking snake there. Who knows? But yeah, exactly. That makes perfect sense. And then it is, right? You get so much better footing and you're fine and you just carry on.
Yeah. And I guess, I mean, I would just kind of throw out there if you're listening to this, like, where have you gone off the beaten path in your life, and how has that served you? Like, how has that empowered you in more ways than taking the beaten path? And if you've taken the beaten path, how has that empowered you? But also, how have like you learned that you could have done things differently, like more uniquely, right? More authentically.
Hmm.
So I guess that's kind of what this comes around to. I feel like the steep inclines and kind of doing what you have to do to get around them, so the tough times, is like tied to your authenticity. Like, do you,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Allow your
100%.
intuition to guide you where your footing needs to be to get to where you got to go.
Yeah. That makes
I don't
perfect
know.
sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then we got to the bottom of that and looked up that incline. And do you remember what you said?
Not 100%. No.
You were talking about, let me see this one. Oh, yeah, the climb, like how it looks daunting until you're in it.
Right.
And I know this is going down, but it works the same as going up. So, because we were like, when we were at the top of that top of that incline, we were like, whoa, that's steep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then we just obviously took it one step at a time. Then when we got back to the bottom, we did look up that incline again, and we were like, whoa, that's steep.
Yeah.
But the thing is like if you're in it, it's not so bad.
No, you'll get through it, right?
Yeah.
100%.
One step at a time. And I can totally relate that to life in the way of taking action
Hmm.
instead of just letting something build in fear and fear and fear, like build, build, build. And then you're like paralyzed and you don't do anything. Because we could stand there and do the same thing, right? Like stand at that incline and be like, I ain't going down or I ain't going up.
Yeah. It looks crazy. Why would anyone do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But just like one step at a time and you get there. And I always remember this quote. I don't remember who said it. I feel like it's probably someone pretty popular. So I should remember um, but it's like you don't have to figure out the whole staircase at once. It's one step at a time, right? And eventually you'll get to the top of that staircase. And that's like for your goals, for, anything you're working towards in life, in your relationship, anything like that.
Hmm.
And I feel like that was like super applicable.
No, absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
You brought up obstacles like loose rocks and gravel and tree stumps.
Yeah. And life's littered with those, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, there's obviously hiking or doing anything you're doing is just like there's everything, right? Old, like big roots, tree stumps, freaking rocks sticking out everywhere. And
Twisted ankle.
yeah, no doubt, eh? Um, and the past few like the trails we've been on are like, there's been some good stuff, like big cliffs right on the edge. And like I say, you don't know because you get really into it, right? So there's could be animals anywhere, like wild animals, different places. So um, absolutely, just littered with obstacles, and
Mm-hmm.
it'd be so easy to be like, well, no, we better not go because, and then what? What the fuck do you do? Sit around home? Like,
Yeah, well, and that just plays into safety, right? Like
yeah.
comfort zones, how a lot of us don't take chances in life because there could be obstacles and, maybe you don't believe that you're capable of overcoming obstacles or that you're
Hmm.
worthy of overcoming obstacles, but again, the same thing is just do it, right? Just take a chance, have that 5 seconds of courage and you can deal with the obstacles as you go.
Big time, and that's kind of the fucking story of our life, really, right? Like,
Mhm.
good or bad, fucking jump in both feet, and here we go, and deal with the obstacles as they come.
Well, totally, and that was actually one of the things on my on my list is like coming up against forks in the road, right? Because so we got to this part where we wanted to get to yesterday, but then it was like this kind of less beaten path, and we even questioned it because we were like, "Is that how far does it go?" Right? Because
Hmm.
we do have Lennox, and he wants to walk, but then he gets on my back, and then he walks, and he gets on my back. And it was like skinnier, right? So we did just ask this lady who was about to go on it if she recommended it for us or whatever. And she
Yeah,
was like, yeah, just always kind of like try to stay straight, to like follow the straight path, because there'll be ones, I guess, that come up that kind of take you off. And so as we were going, it was like, well, this isn't quite as clear as to what is straight and what's not. So there was times where we literally stood at the fork in the road and we were all like, which way should we go, this way or that way? And then we would kind of like make a unanimous decision and then we would
basically,
go.
yeah.
And there was a couple times where we went and we were like, oh, wrong way. But it took us to like a really cool view,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So we did climb up another steep incline, but we got to the top and it just seemed like a spectacular view from up there. And then we had to climb back down. and then carry on the way that we should have went in the first place. But how many times in life do we make a wrong turn and then beat ourselves up for it and be like, oh, we wasted time or money or, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas instead of looking at it like, wow, I would have never met this person had I have not come this way, or I would have never learned this skill, or I would have never seen this spectacular view,
No, and that's where all
right?
the lessons are, right? Is fucking
Hmm.
up. And like I say that all the time, is just every time like you gotta, what is it? It's either like fail or learn. You gotta pick, like you don't, yeah, basically, you don't make a mistake, you learn from it or whatever it is. Like
Yeah.
that's some Bob Ross shit for you right there. That happy little mistake right there. Um, but seriously, like it is that way, right? And then we get so blinded, and I know that from experience is like when you're feeling down, you're feeling depressed, and then you can't see that. Say like even if you did make the wrong turn, or you can't see any of the beauty, you can't see the view, you can't see anything. You're just so stuck on making the wrong decision that
Hmm.
you're just fucked, right? So,
Hmm.
um, I get that absolutely. Whereas who cares? You make a wrong decision, enjoy that view, and then
Yeah.
turn around and get back on it.
Yeah. I learned this in my earlier days of kind of coming down this path from Louise Hay. It was like, just make a choice.
Hmm.
And if it's the wrong choice, make another choice.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're never stuck with a choice. Of course, there are life decisions that are highly altered by certain choices, but at the same time, like you're never stuck in one choice. Some are harder to change than others, but you're never stuck, right?
Right.
So, and especially like smaller things, right? Like how many of us, I mean, maybe you not so much, but I know like me and I know a lot of women will relate to this, like him and haw over which color to paint our nails or like something so little like that as to like do I take the job or not take the job or
Hmm.
things like that where it's like who really cares, like just make a choice, and if it's the wrong choice then you can make another choice.
Oh, it's yeah, and it sounds so easy when you talk about it. Just when you're in it, you're like, oh fuck.
Right,
But
I know, like even the nail polish one is really hard. I mean, I haven't painted my nails in freaking maybe years, but it is hard because you're like, well, this has like this feel, this one has this feel. I'm getting paying someone to give me a manicure, a pedicure. Like, it's gonna last for a long time. Is this the choice I want?
what
Is this
season of
too
the year?
playful?
Yeah,
Yeah. Should I like, reel it in a little bit? Should I have a little more fun? Like, there's just a lot of things that go through
it's
your
true.
head.
I get it.
So, but just make a freaking choice and
Yeah,
move on, right? Took that energy and put it into something else. Like, what could you create?
that's fair. 100%.
Okay, so what else do we have down here? Um, well, that kind of goes for like working for the view, because well, actually, and yes and no, because I have down here like that sometimes you have to work for your view, because I think that fits in with instant gratification, right? Like there's so many times we just want the perfect relationship or the perfect job or the bank full of money.
Fucking working like, oh, I want to lose all this weight.
Hmm.
That's a tough
Right,
one.
like six
Yeah.
pack abs, right?
Yeah.
But we forget that we have to work to get there. And I mean, obviously, the mountain metaphor is very clear. You have to climb, you got to feel the leg burn, the butt burn, the increased heart rate, the sweatiness,
Yeah.
feel the wind blowing you over when you get up there.
But I think
But
that's part of like that's the human nature. That's just life. To be honest, like anything that you don't work for, generally you don't value at all.
mhm.
Like,
Yeah, I
um,
guess if you're just like given money or
yeah,
like,
and that's how it like. I don't know a ton of people like that, but like on TV, you see it all the time, right? Like you want six pack abs, so you watch like someone will get liposuction and a fucking like ab implants. And then
yeah,
there's
get
like,
like your stomach's tied and
yeah,
stuff.
and there's like no gratification to that. Or maybe there is, I don't know. But and like you said, if you win the lottery or you just get a bunch of money, right? Like most lottery, like there's some smart ones, but most lottery winners will go broke
Mhm.
right away, right? Things like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a lot of your abundance mindset as well, right?
It
So,
is, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, there's just all those things that if there's no work in there, I don't think that I don't know what it is about the human nature, but most people won't enjoy it, or they just won't take pride in it if they
mhm.
didn't work hard for it, right?
Yeah, and that can go for like careers or businesses, right? Like if you just kind of, get lucky and land in the right spot, but then again, you take it for granted,
Hmm.
or you're in the right place at the right time for like your business or something, but you don't like all of the struggles that it takes you to build a clientele or to build a name for yourself or whatever is teaching you so much and building you up, right?
Yeah.
But if you're just like given something too, you can just be like you're not even the person who's able to be who you need to be to move forward. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm kind of moving away from the whole like working for your view thing, but
No,
even if
but
we tied that to relationships, right? Like you see people's relationships from the outside and you're like, oh, wow, they have the perfect relationship. I don't have that. I want that.
mhm.
But you don't see like the countless hours that they've put into that. Maybe it's through counseling or coaching or just their own trial and errors and ebbs and flows, right? Or
Yeah.
the many years that they have fought and then learned how to communicate properly to be where they are,
Yeah.
right?
Big time. Absolutely. No, it makes sense. And then even just go back to the mountains, like, yeah, you can take a helicopter up to something
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, wow, this is a pretty view. Or if you fucking climbed your ass off to get there and you're
Yeah.
like, you're going to feel it. You're going
Mhm.
to really enjoy that. Right. So,
Yeah, and I mean, we've done both, right? We have taken a
yeah,
helicopter up and
still looks
it
great.
is pretty cool. I mean, you do
Hmm.
get to see things you obviously wouldn't see in the mountains we're climbing here,
Yeah.
but still, yeah, there's just like that sense of satisfaction,
Hmm.
right? When you get there, you're like, wow, yeah, this was like my blood, sweat, and tears.
Hmm.
I mean, our hikes aren't quite that intense, but there's definitely
Soon enough.
sweat,
Soon enough. Yeah. Lots of that.
but blood and tears, not so much
Well, a little bit of tears.
from Lennox. I'm bored.
I'm bored. You guys losers.
How much longer? We also had blood, I guess, because I got a blister. So I take it back.
We're just going intense with this
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this was a good one. I think you like to talk about this, that like you realize how little you are and how
Yeah.
little your problems are.
Big time, right? With the world. And I'm really bad for this. I get stuck in my own head and, um, I don't know what it is, like a perfection thing or if it's a, acceptance thing from people, but I always put so much emphasis on everything I do and it has to be a certain way because mostly career wise, I always got a lot of praise for things I did, but I felt so much pressure to get that. I've never
Mhm.
really just sunk into it and just enjoy myself. And um, when you're looking up in mountains or wherever you are, you're just or in the ocean too. I remember equating that with surfing, right? Like it's so powerful and so big, and it's like that's Mother Nature, right? And it's so fucking strong. And no matter how strong you think you are, how tough you are, like even if you try to jump against waves, like not even big waves, they'll fucking just
Knock you
crush you,
out.
right?
Yeah.
Like, and your mountains are just so big, and if you fall, like fuck, it's game over, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no forgiveness there, and you just realize how fucking tiny you are. Um, Especially with the ocean. That's the big one that I like. Is just you, all your problems is like you watch waves crashing, and it's like holy fuck, man! Like this would destroy me,
Mhm.
and your problems just seem so little and small compared to the magnificence and the strength of anything like the ocean or the mountains.
Mhm.
So it's wild, and like I say, looking back on some of those inclines, and you look up and you just realize, like, holy fuck! Like, I'm not a tall guy anyway, but but I mean, you just realize how small you really are around
Yeah.
these giant trees and giant mountains, and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think something that stands out for me in that, like both in the mountains and the ocean, is just like the ecosystems that are going on there, right? Like yesterday, we watched the eagle flying above, and we were talking to Lennox about
Hmm.
how he's hunting and what he can see from how far and
Yeah.
his eyesight and that kind of stuff. And he was like mesmerized. But you just think about like all of this stuff that's going on that you can't see.
Hmm.
And it's happening whether you have problems or you don't. So that's not to take away from like your feelings and your problems because they're very real to you and they're like real to us, right? Like when
Yeah.
we're living in that. But I think it's just so amazing to be in those types of things, like in the mountains, in the nature, and you see the ecosystem, like you see the eagle hunting what do they even hunt? Like mice? I don't
Yeah.
know what
Just
else
picking
they.
up like vermin or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
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 And then same with like in the ocean, right? Like there's so many different levels of, um, what is it called? Like the food chain,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That we're just a part of that. And yes, we have problems. And yes, they're important. But at the same time, you get out into things like that and you realize, like, wow, there's something much bigger than me, right?
Hmm.
And it just really helps you to understand that. And I believe for myself, it helps me to come to solutions to my problems just by getting out of my own way.
Yeah, no, that's fair. 100% fair.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So the last one that I thought we would share was just talking about like how you can't see the end in sight.
Hmm.
So, like, really learning to enjoy the journey and embrace the now, which we did kind of touch on, but I just know, like, when we're on the mountain, right? Like, we kept being like, yeah, I think, like, I know the car's over there or the truck's over there, but it looks like this trail's going like straight the other way, right?
Right.
And so it was kind of like getting a little nervous, thinking like, oh, I don't think we're on the right path. But at the same time, that was just over a bit of a hill. Then there was a turn to go back towards the truck, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then so for those few moments, I was kind of like not really concentrating on being present in the moment because I was like, shit, I think I might have taken us the wrong way.
Right.
But also like, so just like the end's not always in sight. That's how we should be living our lives, right? Like not always, we were just talking about this, like not always focusing on the end destination or the end point, but like the mountain, just it's going to swerve, it's going to come around, it's going to look like you're moving farther away from like your end goal, but then
Yeah.
suddenly you'll swing back in, like
Yeah, it's so
just
true. Yeah.
just so many ups and downs and arounds and unders and overs.
Oh, big time. And I always picture that fucking graph chart of like entrepreneur life, A to B,
Yeah.
and then just straight line. And meanwhile, like reality is just like
Yeah.
up, down, turn around. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, I mean, and tie into perfection in that, right? Like we
Hmm.
all strive or seemingly strive for perfection in our relationships and our jobs and our careers and our entrepreneurship and our just our journeys, right?
Yeah.
But learning to let that go, the perfectionism, because like it doesn't exist for one. So you're striving for something that you'll never achieve.
Yes.
And I think that's where that comparison comes in with other people. Like you're thinking that that couple is perfect or that person has the dream career or all the things. But again, it ties into everything we just talked about that we didn't see the struggle in getting there, the obstacles in getting there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't even want that anyways because
Most
the
times,
fun
no.
is happening in the journey,
Yeah.
right? And that's where you like that's the insight. You got to have a I guess like a north star, the
Hmm.
goal in everything in your life, but at the same time don't be solely focused on that.
Nope. That sums it up, really.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me just do a really quick comb through this and make sure. Did we talk about the looking back and reflecting to see how far you've come?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we kind of covered all of these in what we just chatted about. So we'll wrap it up. Wrap it up.
Yep. 100%.
Okay.
Where can people find you?
You guys can follow me at Laura LaRocque. That's my social Instagram, my social media, which is my Instagram and my Facebook handles.
Yeah.
Or you can check out lauralarocque.com as well. I am promoting, but I am accepting clients right now into my Reignited Relationship course.
Hmm.
And I'm just getting it all like set up right now on a platform. So it's like super easy and efficient for you to get your modules. And then we hop on calls. And it's really amazing. I've been working on this for, well, probably 8 years because
It's really come together, though.
first I had to live it,
Yep.
then I had to learn it. Now I have worked like 3 years of clients through it, through
Yep.
the process, and then like bundled it up into an actual service where I have modules and calls all tied in together to take you on this journey of like really opening and healing your heart as a woman so that you can be the trailmaker, the trailblazer or change maker in your relationship to either just like really reignite that passion and connection again. Or if your relationship's already kind of in turmoil, it's great too because it helps you kind of discover who you are and your uniqueness and your authenticity. And that can either bring you and your man closer together again. Or if you're already on your way of separating and potentially divorcing, it will build you up so that you go out and build a life and maybe attract a new partner that you really want in your life. Does
Yep.
that make sense?
No, you nailed it. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
So that's going on right now too, but just follow me on Laura LaRocque. And our LaRocque Life social media is a little dead right now, but that's coming soon too. We'll be doing a lot more promotion in there because Mike and I are actually working on in the next few months. So it's not going to be
Yep.
in like the immediate future, but keep your ears open because we are working on a program together as well where we're taking our experience and then everything that we have learned relationship wise with tools and skills to do that same thing, but for couples who are ready to do it together. So my service is more for the woman who wants to make a shift in relationship because her husband's kind of just like cool with the way things are going,
Right.
right? Like he doesn't really think there needs to be change, but she does. So she's kind of that trailblazer. Whereas our thing together will be for couples to do together. And I mean, to be honest, the people who go through that are going to evolve and become a lot closer, a lot faster because they're working on it together,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
They're both open and willing.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming like in the next few months for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
So just keep following us, keep your ears peeled for that. And yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Okay, well, I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Yeah, have a good night.